They say that talking to yourself is a sign of insanity. But I'm pretty sure that's only if you answer back, right? Right. This is Talking to Myself, the art advice podcast where I use anecdotes from my real life, try to make myself a better artist, and maybe a better person. While others might find this useful also, mostly I'm just trying to avoid paying for therapy. Today's podcast, I thought I'd talk about the concept of ambition as it relates to art and art career and whatnot. Funny anecdote this time, not much to it, but is interesting. I was waiting for a bus recently, as I am wont to do when you want to catch a bus, you have to wait for it. I noticed a glinting in the sun running from the bus stop sign to a tree branch some 15, 20 feet away was a thread of spider silk. Meaning, as I'm sure you understand, that a spider had decided that it would be a good idea to start establishing a web in the 15-foot gap between this sign and this tree. Now, it's possible the spider was just trying to get from one place to another, got caught by the wind and blew over there, but this is Australia, and I'm pretty sure if the spiders could learn how to drive, they would start stealing cars. The spiders here are crafty, numerous, crafty, dangerous occasionally, but mostly they're just really prolific, because so are the other insects they feed on. It's sort of like the savage land here, and that's what I call it sometimes, is the savage land, because there's lots of wildlife, and it's fairly aggressive, and some of it does not give a care for humanity at all. But I started thinking about this. What does it take for the spider to assume that kind of ambition? What was it thinking? Was it thinking at all? Let's assume it was planning literally to make a web that big. I've seen spiders try to make webs that are like 5 feet across in this neighborhood, running from some fixed position to some other fixed position that happens to be a 5-foot gap. I've seen spiders make webs that big, like orb weavers and such. So it's not that much of a stretch to imagine some spider went crazy and decided to make a huge web. That kind of ambition is admirable to an artist. Being able to take those kind of risks and think that big is something I would love to do. But the thing stopping me from doing that kind of ambitious stuff is the same reason that the spider web wasn't completed, I'm assuming. It's impractical. I mean, you make a web that's even 5 feet across, eventually someone's going to come through and tear it up, or the wind will, or a stick, or, it's not practical. You might have a chance to catch more flies that way, maybe. I mean, I would hope so. The law of averages would say so. But I mean, it's a lot of work. You're taking a big risk. And that's kind of what ambition is you take a big risk, you shoot for the stars, and sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't. I think when it comes to art itself, you should be as ambitious as possible. Do anything, try any technique, go for any style or size painting, any subject you want. Do what you think is something that's really going to express what you want to say. Don't worry about anything else. Go for it. Worst case scenario, you get practice at the technical aspects of making art, and it's a failure of a piece. And that's going to happen anyway, so don't hold yourself back when it comes to figuring out what to make or how to make it. Just go crazy. That's my opinion. And I sometimes put that into practice and sometimes don't, but I'd like to try to move towards that kind of attitude at all times. However, again, the caveat, the practical side. If you're planning on an art business and you want to sell your art, by no means am I suggesting you censor yourself in any way. Don't bother with that. But be aware that if you're trying to make art for sale and you're not established and you have a huge catalog of incredibly disparate pieces because you have all these ambitious ideas and they're not all fully realized, you're going to have some trouble pulling that together as a collection to be seen as a coherent artistic vision. And art dealers that I've spoken to have told me the easiest way to get your art in front of people or for people to get a grip on it is to have a series or have some sort of consistency so people can latch onto what they like. That's how you get more commissions and stuff, because people see what you do and they like it, and then they ask you to do it for them. Also, it helps to have more than one piece in style, because of stock reasons. Just plain old simple retail management stuff. which is ridiculous and sad and boring, but it's important. I mean, if you've got one piece that's this interesting style, that's a certain scale that people really like, but you've only got one and it sells, then, and you're not doing that stuff anymore, then you can't expect to sell that again, you know? But if you've done a series of 5 of them and they become popular, you might expect to sell all 5. Now, again, I don't think you should make art based on what you think will sell. That's a bad idea. I don't think you should make certain size art or certain type of art based on what you think is popular, because you will always be wrong, and eventually you'll always be right, but more likely you'll be wrong. You should still try to make the stuff that you want to make the way you want to make it, but maybe just try to work for some consistency, fully flesh out your ideas, carry them through to a logical conclusion, maybe do them a few times, get a feel for them until they become comfortable. Then you can turn into your ambition and go somewhere else, go some other direction, and do that until you become comfortable. And eventually maybe you come back to something else you've done before. That's fine. Whatever you feel like is your artistic journey, you do that. But I think there can be something to be said for fleshing out an idea, working it until you feel like you've worked it. I'm going to try myself to do more series of finished works in the upcoming months, in the hopefully much better year of 2021, because in the end I'd like to have collections of works that are not only visually related but also are of a period. Like this is what I was thinking of, this is what I was aiming for when I made these 10 pieces, and that you can tell they're linked by that. And then maybe these 10 over here had a different concept behind them, a different idea, a different technique or whatever, but they're linked also conceptually. And probably visually too, because that just sort of as a reaction. Okay, so brief note to future self, because it's not much in the future I'm planning on starting this. Hey, dude, it's a month later. How you doing? Hopefully the world's a better place. I know it'll be a few more months before anything major changes, but hopefully things are better. Don't forget to work in a series. Don't forget to not only finish the piece you're working on, but when you start the next piece, plan on finishing that too. And just keep finishing pieces in a genre until you have exhausted the idea. That's about it. Try to stay consistent, be considerate, and work until you're done. Not great advice, but not bad advice either. Thanks guys for listening. I really appreciate you. Special thanks to my patrons on Patreon. You guys get to hear and see these a week ahead of everyone else, and you are the shiniest people I know. More stuff coming up for Patreon in 2021. Got tons of new things for you guys. I'm going to do some tutorial videos. I've got some art I want to post just for you, so expect to see that coming up soon. And thanks again. Everybody take care, and do what you got to do to stay safe. Not quite over yet. Hang on. Bye for now.